Hey traders, how's it going? Hope you're all having a good day. In this video I'd like to give you a summarized version of the user's guide for the Arc Trend Scalper. We will cover topics as getting started, indicators and templates, customizing your charts, and towards the end we will look at some signals and analysis. And I will also briefly show how to find signals on your own. This video is by no means intended to replace the PDF version of the user guide, as the PDF version contains a lot more details which is not possible to cover in a short video. So let's get started and talk a little bit about the system requirements. In order to run the system without freezing up or lagging, we recommend you to have at least Windows 10, a quad-core CPU and 8 gigs of RAM. The system will, however, run on a dual core and 4 gigs of RAM, but you are restricted in terms of how much you can do on the side, so not too much multitasking. You could argue that our recommended system requirements are rather high, and that is true, but you need to remember that, for example, if you're scanning 28 minor and major FX pairs, you are in reality scanning 56 pairs same time. So it will take up a fair amount of system resources. In terms of license restrictions, the license will allow you to install the system on as many MT4 terminals, trade accounts and computers as you like, but you can however only use it on one at a time. And that is why we recommend you only to install the system on a single MT4 terminal in order to prevent locking up of the license by using it accidentally on more than one MT4 terminal at a time. I will not cover the installation of the system in this guide. The installation process is fairly simple and straightforward, as well as there is an included installation guide in the downloaded material. Okay, let's move on and go in and have a look at what indicators and templates comes with the system. So what I have here is a new MT4 installation, clean chart, and the first thing I like you to do is go in and do a small optimization, lowering the max bars in history and lowering the max bars in chart to 5000. You can also lower it to lower than 5000. 2000 is more than sufficient. This is done purely to optimize the system and make the calculations run faster. Secondly, you need to go in and check the templates, make sure that there is an Arc analysis template and an Arc scanner template, as well as go in and have a look at your navigator folder, and in there you should have the Arc analysis indicator and the Arc scanner indicator. If those two indicators and two template folders are there, then the system should be installed as it's intended. What we want to do next is we want to go in and apply the Arc scanner template to the chart. The first time you apply the template to a chart, it can take a bit of time before it updates. Now I've been running the system on this MT4, so it's fairly quick and swift to update. But if you're running it the first time, give it a little bit of time in order to go in and update. The main chart window contains a number of indicators. The first indicator we want to talk about here is the blue lines, the so-called arc channel. The arc channel is a EMA offset, vertical offset EMA, and it's intended to show you the trend direction. What you particularly want to pay attention to is the smoothness of the lines, in such a way that if you want to trade it, you want to have as smooth and linear lines as possible. If it is too choppy, you don't really want to trade it. The second set of indicators we want to talk about is the signal indicators. Those are the red and white arrows as well as the red and white stars. These signals are custom coded and are non-repainting. Another thing about these signals are that they are not related to any of the other indicators on the chart. So for analysis verification purposes, you can easily use the support indicators, such as on this chart, which is the Arc QQE pullback indicator, or on the analysis chart there's a couple of other indicators as well. So since the signals are not related to the support indicators, you get a really strong confirmation by using the support indicators. The last indicator on the chart we want to talk about is the yellow circle with the dot in. These are zigzag based indicators and they repaint. But these indicators are not to be used for any entry based decisions or any entry based analysis. They are merely there to make suggestions that you have a trend change coming or trend direction change coming. In indicator window 1, we have two indicators. We have the Arc QQE pullback, which is a QQE based indicator with custom filters and custom period setting. It's a non-repainting indicator and it is set to signal whenever you have pullbacks, whether small or medium pullbacks identified in the price movements. These pullbacks will be identified either way by a signal line crossing or a crossing over the zero line. So whenever you have a signal line crossing or a bigger change in terms of the momentum is going below or above the zero line, that is a clear indication of a pullback in progress. The second indicator in indicator window 1 is the export filter overlay. You probably all know the export filter. It's a momentum prediction indicator, so it's the future prediction will repaint. Furthermore, this momentum indicator is not zeroed over, or it's not calibrated over the zero line in such a way that you cannot use it to see when you have a zero cross in the momentum. It is, however, to be used in such a way that you can see whether the momentum is upwards or downwards direction. Indicator window 2 is our scanner section. On the right hand side you have the trader's dashboard that contains information such as remaining time on the candle, pips and profit, stop loss and take profit distances, as well as the spread. In the bottom part you have two buttons, one reload button and one save template layout. The reload button is to be used if you want to recall a template or recall the template as you have saved it. And the save template layout is if you're going to make changes, say you want to add custom indicators to the chart. You simply press this button here and it will save the template as you have defined it. In the left hand side we have the signal boxes. Those three boxes here represent signals that the scanner have found. The signals are based on the arrows and the stars. So each of these signals here contain a current setup that we have. So for example, if we look at the USD CAD H4, we click on the button and it should open up USD CAD and H4. So USD CAD on H4, and we can see here we have a signal. Those are the signals that the scanner will go in and scan for. So let's talk a little bit about scanner customization. If we go in and open the indicator list and we go down and we take the bottom indicator, the Arc scanner, double click it, then we open up the settings. In the input tab you can go in and see, first of all, you have the client license key. I have grayed this out for obvious reasons. The second line you have there, the currency pairs. As default it's set up with majors and minors plus gold. These pairs listed here can be customized. You can go in and enter literally anything that you like, anything that your broker is having to offer can be listed here. So what you need to go in and have a look at in your market watch and list the instruments that you want to trade or you want to scan for in here. Make sure that they are listed exactly as they are nominated by the broker. If your broker is using a suffix, make sure that you list the suffix in here. So it's going to be listed in such a way that you have the instrument name plus your suffix followed by a comma, no space, no nothing before or after the instrument. Time frames. The default setting is that the system will scan on H1 and H4. You can go in and change that. You can go down and scan as low as on M5 if you like so. It's really up to you to define which time frames you want to scan for. Time frames is less important. The more important stuff is that you need to find time frames where the instruments are trending. And I will get back to that a little bit later when we're talking about the analysis part. The use of local time is set to true, which means that on the signal buttons it will go in and add the timestamp from your computer clock, not from the server clock. If it is set to false, it will pick the server time. The selected scan interval is selected in such a way that it will scan all the instruments that you have listed every 5 minutes. This can be changed as well. You can go in and set it as low as every 1 minute or every 30 minutes. The only thing you need to keep in mind here that every time it scans, it takes up quite a bit of computer resources. So keeping it on 5 minutes is recommended, unless you go down and want to scan on the M5 time frame, then you need to lower it to a 1 minute interval. Then you have a couple of alert boxes, push notifications. So the system here are actually able to send out push notification to any smart device. This of course needs to be activated not only here in the indicator, but also needs to be activated in the MT4. Delete all signals on refresh, it's set to true, which means that every time it scans, if a signal is no longer valid, it will disappear off your signal list. If it is set to false, all the signals will remain, even though that they might be a little bit outdated. Open signals in another window is set to false. If it is set to true, every time you click on a signal box, it will open the signal in a new window. Template to load in another window is set to the Arc Analysis template, and the show button on chart is set to true. These two are tied together in such a way that when you click on this button up here, which we'll get back to a little bit later, it will actually open this chart here in a new template. It will open it in the analysis template. Then there is a couple of options related to the trader's dashboard. You can change the way that it shows TP and SL distances. Default setting is that it will show the TP and SL distance from your entry. If you set it to true, it will display the distance towards the current price. Then you have some options to visualize the trader's dashboard down here. These settings here will allow you to actually remove that section entirely from the scanner section in such a way that they will no longer be visible on the chart. And the bottom part of the indicator settings is all about changing colors for various parts of the chart. Let's go in and do a couple of changes just so you can see how we actually manage that and how we make sure that it gets saved, so we have the settings for next time we start up the scanner. So let's go in and add M30 to the time frames that we want to scan. So I will simply type in M30, H1, H4, no spaces, no nothing in between. And up on the currency pairs, let's say we want to go in and add a couple of indices. So what I do first, I go all the way to the end and I start by entering a comma. Then I can, for example, add US 30. Oops. 30. And I will add US 100, and I will add US 500. Okay, so I have added one time frame, M30, and I have added 3 indices, US 30, US 100, and US 500. And I go in and click OK. And I close the indicator window. And I have to give it a little bit of time here before these changes actually take effect. But what I go in and do now is I go in and click on the Save Template Layout, like that. And when I open the scanner next time, these changes I have just made will be saved, and it will appear as I have saved them. Okay, it would appear that there are no signals on these added instruments that I have just added. That's unfortunate. But at least we can see that we had a few signals on the added time frame M30. We have a GA, a GC, and a GN on M30. So these are the changes that we also went in and made by adding the extra time frame. So that is the Arc scanner template. Now let's go in and have a look at the Arc analysis template. And there's two ways you can actually bring this up. You can either way go up and call the template from the template menu, where you have the Arc analysis template, or if you have saved the default setting, or if you have the default setting, you can go up and click on this open in new window. What will happen here is that right now we are looking at the USD CAD H4 signal, which we saw before. If we open this chart in a new window, we will open it in the scanner window, the analysis window, and it's the exact same chart, USD CAD H4. What we have here on the main chart is more or less exactly the same, with the addition of some Arc Trend continuation signals. These signals are also zigzag based, and they will repaint, but they will only appear counter trend. That means they will only appear when you have a price going to revert back into trend direction. So it's not a signal that you're supposed to be trading on, but it's a signal to help you identify whether the price is going in the right direction or not. Other than that, the main chart is the exact same as it was on the scanner window. In indicator window 1 we have the Arc MACD. In indicator window 2 we have the Arc QQE pullback, same as what we have on the scanner chart, also with the Expo Fuller overlay. And in indicator window 3 we have the Arc QQE trend. These three indicators are, first of all, non-repainting, and secondly they serve a purpose to show the quality of the trend or stability of the trend. The Arc QQE trend will show you the overall trend direction. The Arc QQE pullback will show you medium and small pullbacks identified in the price, and the Arc MACD will show you immediate price changes or price movements. It's a very quickly and very fast reacting MACD. It's not the regular MACD that you are used to from the default MT4 indicator. It's a custom filtered and custom period setting, and it is set to react very quickly on price changes. So if we were to use this analysis template and do an analysis on the signal that we have here on the USD CAD, where we have a signal setting on the previous candle, we still have about 2.5 hours left of the current candle. So it's certainly not too late to go in and make an analysis. So we know we have the signal here, and we know these signals are not based on any of the other indicators on the chart. So what we want to do is we want to go in and have a look at these indicators that we have on the chart to make sure that the signals that the scanner have provided is in alignment with the support indicators that we have on the chart. So if we go in and have a look first of all at the MACD, we can see that the volume have changed from being slightly below zero and just crossing over zero, as well as we have a signal line cross going up. So the immediate price movement is in the right direction. If you look at the QQE pullback, we can see we have had a small dip and the volume looks to be going over, and it looks like we are going to have a cross on the signal line as well. So the pullback indicator clearly shows that we are going in an uptrend again. We are going back into the uptrend again. The Arc QQE trend, however, shows you that there is a slight decline in the trend, so it is possible that it will drop further, but you can also see that there is a slight tip upwards here, so it could be very well be that it's on the way upwards. It could also be that it's a little bit further down. If we look at the Expo Future, it shows a little bit down but then general up. So if I were to make an analysis on this specific example, I would say it's definitely a valid trade, and I would consider to go in and make a trade on this. So what I would do is I will of course make my entry line right where the price is. I will go in and I will set a stop loss 1 or 2 lines below on the arc channel. So either way, put my stop loss right at the center line or at the line below. This is on a H4 chart, so I will probably put it on the center line right there. But normally I would go either 1 line or 2 lines below or back in price. So here I would set it right there, and for the TP I will go up and say like at least 1 line over. So that would be on this line. It's very short, but I will probably go up and take the second line above. That would give you a roughly 1-to-1 trade ratio, risk to reward ratio, sorry. So that's how I would trade a signal like this. First of all, you go in and you have a look at the signal, see whether the trend line is upwards. Here we have a nice and even trend line. It's a very linear, not too many major. There is one major pullback here, but it has quickly aligned with the trend direction. So it's certainly a valid scenario. We have the Arc MACD, shows you a clear immediate upwards trend direction. We have the pullback showing that the pullback has realigned and is about to go in the trend direction. The overall QQE trend shows it's a little bit questionable, but I think it's a valid trade to go in and take. So that was a little bit about how we deal with signals and analysis. And just to recap, what we want to have a look at here is the overall trend direction. We want to make sure that these lines, the arc channel, is as linear as possible. The more linear it is, the better it is. The steeper it is, the better it is. If it is flat or if it is wobbling up and down, then don't trade it. So criteria number 1 is the arc channel has to be linear. It has to be as steep as possible. The second criteria we want to go in and have a look at is the support indicators. So we saw that we have to make sure that all 3 indicators needs to be aligned, so in such a way that the MACD is showing direction in accordance with the signal, and so does the QQE pullback and the trend direction. We also have these CC based indicators that repaints. Now in the example we used before with USD CAD, we have a signal here that actually indicate that a downtrend could be in progress. However, we know these signals repaint, so I'm not really too worried about whether it's going to move down right now, but I still think that there's plenty of room to let this trade go up and hit the TP as we have defined it before. This analysis scenario is the same that we can do on the scanner template. However, you don't have more than the ArcQQE indicator, support indicator, but other than that you still have the Arc channel that you can base it on. So it really depends on how serious you want to be when you're doing your analysis. You can easily do an analysis only on the scanner chart. You don't have to use the analysis chart. The analysis charts give you a few extra confirmations, which I think is important to go in and take. But if you think that you have more than enough information on the scanner chart here, then that should be fine as well. The next thing I think we should go in and talk about is we saw in the beginning how we start up the system, how we started up using the templates to add to a blank chart. What I want to do now is I want to go in and close these charts. We have two charts open. We have the scanner template open and we have the analysis template open. So what I want to go in and do now is I want to go in and close the entire MT4, and then I'm going to start it up again. So when you click on the cross in the corner to close it down, it will take a little bit of time to close down, and likewise when you start it up again, it takes a little bit of time to start up. When you start it up with the two charts open that we had before, this used to be our analysis template and this used to be our scanner template. But as you can clearly see that there are indicators missing here. So all the analysis templates that you had open on charts before, you simply close them down. On the scanner chart, there's still indicators missing, but the only thing you need to go in and do is click on the reload button. When you click on the reload button, it should recall the chart exactly as what we had saved it before. And we can go in and double check that simply by going and check on the indicator list and then open the scanner window. Remember, we have added a couple of indices and we had added the M30 time frame. So let's see. M30 time frame is there, and let's scroll towards the end and see whether our indices are still there. And there they are. US 30, US 100 and US 500 are still there. So the changes we have made and used the save template layout has been recalled just as we had saved them. Let's talk a little bit about chart customizations. The Arc Trend Scalper is set up with a set of indicators that we think is more than sufficient in order to not only provide signals but also to provide background for a decent analysis. However, we understand that we all have our own personal preferences when it comes to indicators, color schemes, etc., etc. And this is of course also possible in the Arc Trend Scalper. You can go in and customize the color scheme to your own preferences, background, indicator colors, etc., etc. You can also go in and add indicators to the chart simply by applying them from your navigator panel onto the chart. I can go in and make an example of a couple of indicators that I actually like to go in and add to my analysis template. So let's open the analysis template and then I'll customize that to something that I use normally. First of all, I like to add the dashboard. So I will put it up into indicator window 1, and yeah, that's okay. It's just an example anyway. So that's my dashboard indicator, and then I like to add a symbol changer. Something like that. What you go in and do after you have made these changes is simply to go in and hit the save button. If it is on the analysis template, it's just a save button. If it is on the scanner template, it's called save template layout. but it does the same thing. So you just hit the save button, and there you are. Now this will become your default analysis chart. So far we have been talking about signals and analysis, and the analysis is based on the signals that the scanner has been providing us. So let's have a look at a slightly different way of performing an analysis without the signals from the scanner. And this is actually a way that I've been trading for a while now. So just an example here, this is a different MT4, and it's with a couple of added indicators that I showed you as an example before, just with a slightly changed color scheme. So I have a symbol changer here, and I have the MTF dashboard over here. So if we go in and have a look at a cross like AUD USD, and if we scroll a little bit back here, there we can see that right here we are actually starting to get a nice downtrend, a really nice downtrend on the H4 time frame. And only halfway down we are going to get some signals. And the reason for that is that a lot of the signals provided by the scanner and these arrows and stars is actually filtered quite heavily in such a way that it eliminates a lot of the false signals that is coming. But by eliminating these false signals, we also eliminate quite a number of good signals. And I will show you a way that you can actually identify areas that is certainly worth trading but not provided by signals from the scanner. So here we are looking at a downtrend on the AUD USD. It's a really nice, long, smooth downtrend. Up here in the beginning we could already start to identify that this trend is actually forming, and the first thing we look at is the Arc QQE trend and the Arc QQE pullback, as well as the Arc MACD. All of these shows that we are in a downtrend. So how to identify when to go in? Okay, so we have these signals here, which is the Arc Trend Continuation. Remember, these are zigzag based and they repaint, so you're not supposed to base your entries on these alone. However, they do, since it is a counter trend indicator only, they will not appear going with the trend, only counter trend. So they won't repaint nearly as much as if they were going with the trend. So if we look at this example here where we have the Arc Trend Continuation signal that repaints, what we do next is we go down and we have a look here. So here we have the signal. It could have been repainting over the last 3 or 4 or 5 candles, something like that. But we go in and have a look at the Arc MACD and the Arc QQE. So here we see that we have right there we have a cross on the signals, and we have a momentum and volume cross down below. So right there we have a signal. Let me mark it with a vertical line. Right there we have a signal. And that is how I normally have been finding my entries. So you have a MACD cross and you have a QQE cross down. The same is relevant with the next trend continuation signal. You have the signal coming up that might have repainted a couple of candles, but we are not trading on that signal. We are waiting until we get the signal from the MACD and the QQE. And those are non-repainting. So right there we have again a cross, a signal line cross. We have an indication that the pullback is going to align to the trend. So that's an entry line. Can we find anything else? There is a couple of small entries possible. Right there you have a crossover, right there you have a crossover. But if you're trading on the signals, you would already have been in on these trades anyway. So trading without having the scanner signals is certainly a possibility, and it's a way that I've been trading for a while, only by using the MACD and the QQE pullback cross. There. in there. I hope this guide have been able to give you a better understanding of the system and how to trade with it. This guide is by no means a replacement for the PDF version, as the PDF version contains a lot more information. Other than that, I would like to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.